Observing myself as a critical reader, English 201, Angela Salvatore. Fast and furious are the words that could be used to describe my previous critical reading. 0 to 60 words per minute allowed very little time for critical analysis or even blinking. English 201 taught me to slow down and ask reflective questions to become more comfortable with the material. Reader response there was particularly helpful for me in the story Like Hills Like White Elephants. The story benefited from a second reading because there were so many unanswered questions during the first reading. And in particular, what was the cause of the argument? The second reading allowed me to see the times when the potential abortion was suggested. You've got to realize, I said, that I don't want you to do it if you don't want to. I'm perfectly willing to go through with it if it means anything to you. I had many questions with regards to if abortion was legal in this country. Further critical inquiry raised questions about the author's feelings on abortion. Ultimately, I feel the author has encouraged the reader to not make judgments and does not make judgments either. Reflecting on the critical analysis document allowed me to understand the cathedral better. For example, I would not have initially thought of this as a funny story, and then I remembered the humorous response of the wife to her husband's statement that he had never had any blind friends, but she replied that he does not have any friends at all. The author created a vivid image of the wife when her leg showed from underneath her robe and described her juicy thigh. Her response was dramatic when her husband closed the robe. We learned about the good-natured character of Robert through the direct cues when his wife smiles, when he is around showing that he is a pleasure to be with, and indirect cues is how he is willing to smoke weed with the husband even though he has never done so before, so he can get along. The critical analysis allowed me to search for the conflict which the story revolves around. The external conflict of the story is the prejudice in society against persons with disabilities, and the internal conflict is the husband's struggle with alcoholism and his lack of empathy, which is displayed when he asks his wife if he might take Robert, who is blind, bowling. This class introduced me to many new digital tools and tools I had not known about, but now used in a different way. My favorite new tool is Flipgrid because it allowed me to convey my message better than I could have if I had only used written words. I had the opportunity to add expression. I also found it meaningful to connect with my peers by listening to their Flipgrid and hearing their responses to mine. I am delighted to learn about Creative Commons, which was a wealth of images that I can now feel comfortable using in my future work as an editor. Twitter was useful as well. My assignment, which was to look at the New York Public Library, provided me with new information that I would not have been exposed to otherwise. For example, did you know people actually lived in the library? There is no doubt that the skills we have learned in this class will be useful. I wish I had them available to me when I took a other class earlier this spring in vampires. It would have been useful to have sheets to complete for each movie we watched for that class. I hope to be a movie editor in the future and my knowledge of critical analysis will be important to make sure that the movie portrays the intended message. I will need to be able to critically analyze the scripts. If I have the opportunity to also be a director, I will need to use critical analysis for the set, actors, and dialogue and put them together to see if they portray the intended meaning. There were good things about this course, but there were challenges too. First and foremost, slowing down to read each word was my biggest hurdle. The story, especially challenging for the repetitive short story, was the things I carried. But if I did not slow down, I would have missed the author's messages. Second, it was challenging to read most of the stories twice, especially if they are longer ones. But this was most helpful for Hills Like White Elephants, where the second reading was more revealing. A third challenge was the reading of poetry, which I have always felt left me unsatisfied. The Elements of Poetry worksheet added a particular explanation of words, like personification and irony, have increased my interest. I still cannot get this book, The Lottery, off my mind, and everyone I meet I ask them if they've ever read it, and I can discuss it with them. This book is unforgettable. I remember wondering why are children collecting stones and making them into piles, and why is there sadness in the town when the lottery should be a happy event? There are so many parallels between the story and the movie The Hunger Games that I wonder if it was the inspiration for the extremely successful movie. At first, I was intimidated by the use of Flipgrids, but no more. I like them a lot. Flipgrids are an excellent way to get your point across and connect with others. I enjoy being able to edit my videos so they reflect exactly what I want them to say. What I love most about Flipgrids are my classmates' responses, which say that we are listening to you. Flipgrids allow an online class to become personal and for us to learn from each other. In summary, I really enjoyed English 201 and it has heightened my interest in reading and critical analysis.